I finished my Quran. It was early in the morning. I think it was during Ramadan, actually, of 2023. And I finished it and I was really proud and I kind of felt a sense of peace and joy, the unity, the equality, the oneness of everything, the oneness of Allah, the unified language. We all pray in the same language. We all face the same direction in prayer. There's no difference in value in the eyes of Allah between men and women and different skin colors and ethnicities. And that's something that I don't think I've really saw or felt practiced before. I've been lucky enough to do Umrah once. I did it back in September. The kids came with us. They had a great time. Actually, they keep asking to go back. But I would like to do Hajj as well, obviously, because it's a pillar, but also because the experience I had doing Umrah was absolutely otherworldly. I started crying when I saw the Kaaba. Um, and it was just beyond words. I truly can't even explain how it felt to be in the presence and to feel that.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Hailee, and welcome to my podcast.
Wa alaikum salam. I'm happy to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from, and what's the main religion in your area?
I'm from Michigan, the Midwest in the United States. Main religion is Christianity, as is much of the U.S. And then I was living in Indiana for the past 10 years, and I'm currently living in Egypt. So a big switch there for me. And then, obviously Egypt is predominantly Muslim, so it's a big change.
Tell us a little bit about your religious background before converting to Islam.
So I was raised in a household that's Christian. They weren't very practicing until later in my teen years, but my whole family identifies as Christian. And I kind of identified with it as a kid. And as I got older, I had questions that couldn't be answered. So I became more agnostic, to where I still believed in God, but I didn't believe in the Christian religion. And I obviously didn't know Islam yet, because I was, I think, 14 or 15 or so when I started having questions and started identifying that way. So it was kind of a agnostic, and then looking into religions in college is how I found Islam. And actually at a Catholic college, comparative study of religion course kind of opened my eyes to it. And then I started learning more about it. Ended up meeting my now husband, who kind of taught me a lot about the faith too, and just answered questions when I had them. Didn't ever push anything on me, let me find it all on my own. Alhamdulillah, I was grateful to not have his influence too much, because it gave me the confidence that I was doing it for me, and Allah obviously guided me to it as well. So when I was a kid, like I said, I was raised in a Christian household, and I always remember questioning the faith. A lot of the stereotypes that were fed about it never really made sense to me. I always thought to myself, how could that be true if so many people follow this faith? Like, if that was true, why would people believe and practice and, dedicate their lives to it? And that's kind of honestly where I started looking into Islam, when I was seeing if maybe that was something I could relate to. I kind of started with those big misconceptions first. So clearing the misconceptions was actually where I started. I can't remember the exact ones, but I think the usual things that people try to push into Islam, which are not correct, is where I started. Just because I had to see if that was actually something that people believed. Why would so many people follow the faith? And if, that was something that was actually taught, again, why would someone practice that faith? So I started there just to educate myself on that first, and spent a little time here and there kind of doing that. I didn't actually read the Quran in its entirety until 2023. I had started reading it. I would read pieces of it, but I didn't read it cover to cover until 2023. And it was at that point, actually, that I was like, I'm 100% confident in this. I want to take my shahada, I want to officially be Muslim, not just by my ideologies, but make that commitment to Allah and be in it 100%. So I studied it for about it's 2017 to 2023, so like 6 years before I actually converted, which is some time. But when you grow up with the background that I did and the family that I have, I wanted to be fully confident so that I could defend my faith because I knew that's something I would have to do to them.
Mhm. That's very interesting. I mean, people are different. Some people will accept it quite fast, while others take their time. They do a lot of research. They want to be sure. That's completely fine, of course. It's a huge step for anybody to change their religion. I want you to bring us back to the moment when you said your Shahada. Tell us, how did it feel?
It was it was just something I don't know if I can fully describe it. I finished my Quran. It was early in the morning. I think it was during Ramadan actually, of 2023. And I finished it and I was really proud and I kind of felt a sense of peace and joy. And I had to ask my husband, like, what do I do next? Is this the Shahada? Like, do I have to say this to someone to make it real, or do I just say it to myself? And he said, just say it with meaning, and your intention is to commit that, la ilaha illallah, like that's. And I did that, and I said it, and it felt like I finally had found the faith I always knew existed. I just didn't know about it until I started learning, and that kind of fulfilled what I had been looking for a very long time.
Subhanallah. That's actually, confirmation, and I hear this a lot from the converts to Islam that, as if something was missing here, and then when
Mhm.
Islam came, now it's full. The heart, it's full. I have some kind of
Yeah.
certainty, and I'm satisfied with my beliefs. It's very interesting to hear this.
Mhm.
Um, Tell us about your family and friends. How did they respond to your decision?
Um, so my family at first kind of didn't believe it. They would respect certain things, but then they also, even still now, have a lot of questions that they even though it's explained and I am comfortable and I feel like I explained it to them well, it doesn't make sense to them. Um, my dad is very, very still kind of stuck in the conditioning that Islam is all of the things it's not. So it's taken a lot of time to get him to learn about it. But subhanAllah, he did actually read the Quran. He asked me for a copy and I gave him one, and he said he read it. I don't know if he's finished it. I don't know if he actually read it, but he did at least ask. So I have to give credit for that step. Um, they kind of had the mindset of, oh, your husband made you, you did it for him. It's like, I promise you, I did not. I did not have to convert to Islam to be with him. I didn't have to change my faith or anything like that for him. He supported it, obviously, because he knows and I know that it is the right path to be on, but I made that choice myself. So they were kind of wary in the beginning, and my father is still kind of not supportive all the way. But my mom is accepting, that's what makes you happy. If it brings you peace, that's great. My brothers have always been very supportive. And all of my friends are very supportive too. They actually ask me a lot of questions about things. They ask me about the hijab, and they ask about misconceptions that they've heard about Islam. So it does open a lot of conversation, which I think is great. So far, nobody's shown any interest in converting yet, but I think that
Inshallah.
they are at least learning slowly, and yeah, maybe it'll take some time, but I'm at least taking pride in the fact that they're accepting, for the most part.
Yeah, that's wonderful news. And one of the things that fascinate me about what you just said is that I hear this a lot. Actually, I believe that every single female convert I had here on this channel stated same things, that everybody believed she is doing it for a man. And they all
Yeah.
confirmed that no, that's not the reason. We really believe this. And it's really
Mhm.
fascinating to me that, you know, people always jump to make this same conclusion. Why don't you listen to the person? Ask them, why did you do it? Listen to them. Sadly, this is one of the biggest stereotypes we have with women converts today.
Yes, it's really disappointing too, because a lot of the converts that I personally know aren't even in relationships. And I'll explain this to people. You know, I have a friend who is a convert and her husband does not practice a religion currently, and people still assume that she converted for a man. And I have friends that, you know, were with Muslim men, converted, and then are not together anymore, and they are still Muslim because they believe it. I believe it's a patriarchal influence. I believe it's a cultural, especially in the US. We're taught so much that Muslim women are oppressed. And despite hundreds and thousands of Muslim women telling them that's not the case, it's very hard for them to break that out of their mind, I think.
Exactly. And this is why this type of conversations are important. And I think this is that newer generations, younger generations can break these stereotypes and really show the people that those people who are entering Islam, they really believe it, from what I see at least, and from what I hear, people are entering Islam, and it's not easy. I understand it completely. I mean, if you think about it, Islam is not the type of religion where you can enter Islam and says, well, you know, Allah loves me, so I'm going to do whatever I want and I live my life. It's you have to do work. You have to do fasting. You have to do,
Yeah.
and it's not easy. And because of that, I think that people should recognize that really these people are accepting Islam because they see the truth in it, and there is no other reasons. I mean, there can be motivations, of course. Sometimes people are motivated by nice behavior of the Muslims, and I have this a lot from the guests. But overall, from what I hear, it's always that people are reading, they're researching, and they see the truth, right? Tell us,
Mhm.
have there been moments when your faith was tested?
So for me, I haven't really encountered anything yet. People will try to throw arguments, you know, in comment sections on social media about, like, I see the Islamic dilemma, or, you know, people bring up hadith that they don't understand, or Quran verses that they take without the verses before and after to misunderstand. And they try to do that. And those have never swayed me because of the fact that I looked into those things before converting. So far, I haven't really encountered anything that's made me question. I know that Islam can be difficult because it requires so much discipline. Like prayer, for example, for me can be really hard sometimes. I have two young kids, a 4-year-old and an almost 3-year-old. So I have to pray usually with them on top of, or underneath, or right next to me, which can make prayer a little more difficult. And still learning the Arabic. I have to use an app when I pray sometimes to help me remember what to say next, which is surprising after 2 years, but I still love the prayer itself. It's just actually getting myself to do it can be difficult. And then, you know, fasting, I feel like is difficult for everyone, but those have never made me question my faith. It's just the harder parts of it, I guess is what I would refer to those as.
Tell us, how has your identity evolved since embracing Islam, both personally and professionally?
Oh, that's a good question. So personally for me, it's just I've noticed more like discipline in myself. Like I said, since Islam requires discipline, um, a lot of the aspects of the faith were already kind of in me in a way. Like like the belief of one creator, for example, something I already had. Um, I'm still working on having more patience. That's been something that, you know, comes with the faith. And when I started to represent it, I wanted to make sure that I represented it well. And, you know, as people, I always say Islam is perfect, Muslims are not. So I try to be more mindful about the way that I interact with others. I try to be, like I said, more patient, more calm. I try to handle every situation in a way that I think would honor Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet, and just thinking more clearly about things. Um, and it is a process. I mean, it takes time to change those things about yourself, especially since I was 28. I was almost 30 years old when I converted. So I had all that time before that to kind of unlearn things. Um, and professionally, I've been a stay-at-home mom since before I converted. So my professional field hasn't been impacted too much. Um, it may in the future when I return to work, but at this time, I can't really speak on a professional experience since I've been kind of out of the workforce since before joining the faith.
Mhm. Tell us, what part of Islam do you connect with the most?
I feel like the unity, the equality, the oneness of everything, the oneness of Allah, the unified language. We all pray in the same language. We all face the same direction in prayer. There's no difference in value in the eyes of Allah between men and women and different skin colors and ethnicities. And that's something that I don't think I've really saw or felt practiced before. Um, and this isn't saying that like other religions don't teach that. It's just I never really saw it practiced as such. Um, and because I grew up with that Christian background, I obviously had read the Bible and was able to kind of compare. Treatment of women, for example, is something I talk about a lot, and something I focus on a lot. And you see, like over and over and over in the Quran, men and women are equal in the eyes of Allah. They have rights and responsibilities to each other. And I didn't see as much of that in Christianity, though that may have just been maybe my misunderstanding. I don't want to insult a faith because I know that that's not something a Muslim should do. And I also just don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But that's just for me something that was very important, is that equality and the unity aspect of it. It really feels like you're a part of something bigger, which I did not have before.
Tell us, are there any Muslim role models who inspired you in your faith?
Hmm. That is a good question as well. I mean, when I started researching it, I was kind of doing a lot of it on my own. And I didn't really have any specific guidance in the beginning. As I got deeper and deeper into it, I really loved learning about the women of Islam, particularly like the Prophet's wives, for example. Peace be upon all of them. Every wife that I have learned about thus far seems to be such an incredible role model. Like Khadija, for example, was the first, I believe the first person to convert to Islam, which was amazing, something to know that. And she was so supportive as a wife. And I think that the way that she was with Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, through his journey is very admirable. And that's something that I want to model in my marriage. I want to support my husband the same way, inshallah, with all of his endeavors. Um, and Aisha, she's controversial to non-Muslims, obviously, but sure, her leading battles and the fact that she was responsible for so many hadith being recorded, and it's very inspiring, and it just shows again like the status of women in Islam, how respected they are. Um, since I didn't really personally know too many Muslims in my life until with the past year or two, a lot of my role models and stuff did come from the historical figures instead of personal ones. But since building communities with other Muslims, I have a few friends that I've made along the way who inspire me. So, Rochelle, you had interviewed her before, and I'm sure you saw, she's very well educated, and she is somebody who also spent a lot of time learning about Islam, and I love learning about things from her. She teaches very well, actually, and she is somebody who, like me, I like to kind of learn from all of the schools of thought. I like to see the perspectives that they all offer. Um, and then kind of compare that to the view that I held maybe before I looked into it. And she is someone who also does that. So I like learning from her. And there's another friend of ours, Morgan. She's another one who I love learning from. She has kind of similar interests when we look into things, and she has always been very honest about her faith and her journey, and she stays very strong in it through every hardship that she's been through. And seeing people who deal with hard things and stay strong in their faith is super inspiring to me. So those two are definitely personal role models, though they're newer ones since I didn't meet them until a couple of years ago.
How can a lifelong Muslim be more welcoming to converts?
Oh, that's a good one. I think that when it comes to converts, some lifelong Muslims tend to forget that they're converts or reverts, whatever term people prefer. A lot of them try to act as if reverts can't be knowledgeable simply because they're newer to the faith. Um, I see a lot of, online, usually not in person, but online, a lot of born Muslims will say like, "Oh, you just joined the faith. What makes you think you can speak on it?" Or you've only been Muslim for so long. You don't know as much as I do. And I think that's a big problem amongst the Muslim community is just assuming that somebody doesn't know as much because they're newer. I feel like, and maybe this is a little biased, but I feel like people who join the faith tend to actually look into it more than those who are born into it. They tend to question things more. They tend to want to obtain all the knowledge that they can instead of just kind of believing what their families practice, for example. So I feel like that would be a big thing for born Muslims to kind of consider is that though, we just joined the faith, we may have been learning about it for a long time and we may have perspectives that you don't have. And I think that would definitely help feel more welcome. That and also not expecting reverts to be perfect right away. Like hijab, for example, if it's not practiced the way that a person born into the faith thinks it should be practiced, if your neck is showing one day or if you struggle with wearing it all the time, I see a lot of discourse around that, which makes it very discouraging for especially Muslim revert women. I personally had a hard time in the US specifically wearing hijab out in public because of the stigma around it. And hearing people say, like, well, if you're not going to wear it all the time, or if you're not going to wear it the right way, don't wear it at all, almost pushes you to just not wearing it at all. So I think those are two really big things that I wish that more born Muslims would keep in mind.
Tell us, do you have any specific Islamic goals for yourself?
I feel like my main goals pertain to less myself and more so my kids, because they are going to be born into it as opposed to me who joined it. I want them to approach it with almost the same, not the same way. I'm trying to think of how I want to say this. I want them to choose Islam as well. I don't want to I don't want them to just accept everything I tell them. I want them to research it on their own as the same way. Um, and I want to be a good example for them. So being the best I can be with the pillars of the faith and modeling, how to pray. Like I said, they usually are with me when I'm praying and they're slowly learning how to do it and they know that it's important. Daily practices of, Bismillah before you eat, Alhamdulillah, and the good and the bad is something that we already started working on with them. So I think a lot of my goals pertain to kind of setting up the next generation of Muslims, and allowing them to feel the confidence that I feel in it because they're, researching and getting all those different scholar perspectives and things like that. And then obviously, I think the goal everybody has is Hajj. I've been lucky enough to do Umrah once. I did it back in September. The kids came with us. They had a great time. Actually, they keep asking to go back. But I would like to do Hajj as well, obviously, because it's a pillar, but also because the experience I had doing Umrah was absolutely otherworldly. I started crying when I saw the Kaaba. And it was just beyond words. I truly can't even explain how it felt to be in the presence and to feel that. So I would definitely like to do the Hajj as well, just to get that feeling even more. I think those are my main goals, though. I would like to say memorizing the Quran, but I'm struggling with prayer still, so I don't know if that's a realistic goal.
Inshallah, inshallah, you have time. You are young, and I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you that honor to do the Hajj also.
Thank you.
Sister Hailee, I want to thank you for being my guest, and it was truly a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me. It was very lovely talking to you and getting to share Islam with other people.
Thank you for watching. If you or someone you know has a story of embracing Islam, we'd love to hear it. Your journey could inspire and uplift others. Feel free to reach out to share your story on this channel. Let's continue to celebrate the beauty of faith and the diversity of our experiences. Please share this video and don't forget to subscribe for more meaningful content. See you in the next one, inshallah.